Today we will be talking about Jungian typology and critical pedagogy. What would critical pedagogy look like with Jungian typology? It would serve as a replacement for the format system. Jungian typology creates a more in-depth picture of the student, provides a window to meet students where they learn best. That way the teacher learns how to adapt to the learning style of their student and their own teaching style, and the student learns new materials and how to move out of their educational comfort zone. An explanation of Jungian typology. Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychologist and physician, originated the theory of typology, which states that all human beings are born with an innate propensity for the way they take in information, perceive, and make judgments, judge. Humans are always taking in information or making decisions, is what he believed. And he seeked a way to classify that and understand how it worked amongst people. He started with the perceiving processes, S versus N. Sensing types see the world through their senses. They perceive with details first and work up to the big picture. This makes them observant of specifics of their surroundings and gives them a memory for facts and details. Intuitive types, on the other hand, see the world through connections. They perceive through big picture analysis and then follow with details. This makes them insightful with complex issues because they can understand abstract relationships. Their capacity to see future possibilities also sets them apart from the S because that makes them more rooted in the future, while S's, who are more experiential in nature, are much more firmly rooted in the past and the present. Then he moved on to the judging processes, thinking versus feeling. Thinking types judge information based on the analysis of impersonal facts, which makes them skilled at objective analysis and able to judge consequences objectively. Feeling types, on the other hand, judge information based on personal values and subjectivity. They use their well-developed values and standards to make decisions. This is not to say that thinkers don't have well-developed personal values and standards, they simply don't allow them to enter into their decision-making. Feeling types also know what matters to themselves and others, and they use that in their decision-making. The key difference between thinkers and feelers is that thinkers do not let the impact of their decisions on the people involved affect their own decisions, while feelers do. Then he found there was a third dimension, extroversion versus introversion, which deals with how people take their energy and deal with the world around them. Extroverted types are more comfortable working in the world around them. They say, when in doubt, act. So they think out loud or talk to think. And so they formulate their ideas as they're talking. And so they're seen as more outgoing. Introverts, on the other hand, are more comfortable reflecting on the inside. They say, when in doubt, reflect on the matter more deeply. They keep the thought process inside. And so they formulate their ideas, and when it's to their liking, they say it. And so they're seen as more reserved. Isabel Myers and Catherine Briggs were a mother-daughter psychological team who performed extensive research with the Jungian typology. They found personality types to be affected by one other scale, which dealt with how the other types affected how they dealt with the world, judging versus perceiving. They also simplified Jungian typology and explained how it connects to the world around us and how it can be practically applied in their book, Gifts Differing. In order to make it more practically applicable, they created the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator to establish or to analyze people's Jungian type. Let's take a look at their extension, J versus P. Judging types are more comfortable with order and planning, so they are driven toward closure and definite planning. They desire a structured, orderly existence. Perceiving types, on the other hand, are more comfortable with flexibility and options. This makes them adaptable to many circumstances and driven by a desire to stay open and flexible. You can understand this because judging types prefer to judge or make decisions, and so they're more comfortable when closure is present, while perceiving types prefer to take in information and want to find the best possible options for themselves. Now, how does Jungian typology apply to the classroom? The MBTI extends Jungian typology to many areas, including the workplace and the classroom. Gordon Lawrence's People Types and Tiger Stripes illustrates the use of Jungian typology to maximize learning. Now, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator is appropriate for adults, college and beyond, although some psychologists believe that it works anywhere from junior year in high school all the way up. There's also the Murphy-Meisgeier type indicator, which provides the exact same Jungian analysis for students from 2nd to 12th grade. One of the common misconceptions of Jungian typology and the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator is that it boxes people in. The important thing to know is that though the types are permanent and constant, and there are only 16 of them, traits differ from person to person. And the way you can understand this is if you take 100 people who scored the same type on the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator and you put them in a room, what you will see is that they may behave similarly or have similar aspects of their personalities, but they're actually 100 distinctly different people because their traits differ from person to person. So the Myers-Briggs does not say that you would have 100 carbon copies of one another. In fact, they just share certain similarities. A teacher must understand this in order to use this distinction effectively. In People Types and Tiger Stripes, Gordon Lawrence defines learning types as A. Cognitive style in the sense of preferred or habitual patterns of functioning. B. Patterns of attitudes and interests that influence what a person will attend to in a potential learning situation. C. A disposition to seek out learning environments compatible with one's own cognitive style. And D. A disposition to use certain learning tools, to use them successfully and to avoid other tools. Let's take a look briefly at some of the preferences of learning types. Extroverts would prefer to talk and discuss in the classroom, while introverts would prefer reading or verbal reasoning. Sensing types may prefer tasks that call for observing specifics, while an intuitive type would prefer tasks that call for grasping general concepts rather than facts and details. Thinking types need to connect to the content of what they're learning, while feeling types need a personal connection with their teacher because they learn through personal relationships. Judging types, finally, need to work in a steady, orderly way with formalized instruction, while perceiving types prefer to work in a flexible manner with a more informal problem-solving type situation. Now, how does Jungian typology act as a basis of critical pedagogy? Well, primarily it provides connection to the students, and it strives to tailor lessons to as many types as possible following learning preferences. This ensures that students connect to the lesson, and thus creates the dialogue between teacher and student. It allows the teacher to understand how students learn, and meet them where they are, and then use that information to grow and learn together. It also then builds upon students' innate preferences and helps them to develop into more well-rounded learners and individuals. Ultimately, Jungian typology serves as the glue that holds critical pedagogy together. It is an integrative tool that combines all of the concepts that make up critical pedagogy and connects them through practical application. It serves as a conduit through which the teacher can channel the ideas of Freire, Dewey, Vygotsky, and other thinkers upon which critical pedagogy is based. Let's take a look at how this connects to those various thinkers' ideas and critical pedagogy. Starting with Paulo Freire. Freire's desire to create dialogue can be achieved through understanding the student's personality and learning type. Jungian typology helps the student and the teacher understand how they interact with the world and with one another. This allows them to better learn and grow from it and one another, as Freire stresses in his Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Now, as it connects to John Dewey, Jungian typology provides an opportunity for the teacher to meet the student where they are through learning type analysis. It starts the learning process in the student's preferred type and then tailors the education outward to increase the knowledge and ability to work out of the preferred type. This is something that Dewey would believe because he believes that education should start where the student is and then grow back outward, which is exactly what Jungian typology in education does. Finally, with Vygotsky, Jungian typology finds students' individual zones of proximal development, their own type from which they can't go without help, and then helps them go beyond it through the lessons that the teacher presents. It builds upon the students' current learning types and develops them as well as their knowledge of the material being presented. Most importantly, Jungian typology provides a framework for a lesson plan rooted in critical pedagogy. Through the four-type format, planning the lesson plan around IS, ES, IN, and EN types, and then using the TF and JP scales to affect the changes in the lesson as the students need it.